They're historic, their record, and they're all something that the campaign is very pleased about. $500 million that they have raised over the last month, a big chunk, $82 million during the week of the DNC.
No, she's not having success. I'm having success.
Good news for the Harris-Walz campaign with respect to polling and fundraising is continuing to flow in the aftermath of the Democratic National Convention. And Donald Trump is not handling it well with a series of public meltdowns on Truth Social. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have a couple of clips to look at in this video. The good news, we are proselytizing. We're like the Jehovah's Witness of the Democratic Party. We're knocking on doors and we're sharing the good news, and there's quite a bit of it. And especially, again, for somebody who is an outspoken cynic, I love this. I love feeling not totally despondent. I love thinking that, right now the winds are at our back and the political tide is with us. And it is at the moment. Donald Trump is not handling it well. Before I give you the good news, the more good news that we've got, I want to play you first Donald Trump's reaction to the good news, because quite frankly, in some ways, it's even more delicious than the news itself. This clip is a few days old. It's from the Democratic National Convention, and Donald Trump called into the Fox propaganda network, and when confronted with the fact that the polls are showing success for the vice president, he had a meltdown. And after this clip, I'll give you some very recent updates from Trump and his public meltdown on Truth Social.
Let me ask you this, sir. There's been a huge appeal and momentum for women voters. She's trying to pull the youth vote, the Hispanic vote, the black vote back in her direction. Polls show that she's having some success in that at this point. So what are you going to do? What's your strategy to rebuild the momentum that you had with those voters?
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. I'm doing great with the Hispanic voters. I'm doing great with black men. I'm doing great with women, because women want safety. They want safety. And they don't have safety when they have somebody allowing 20 million people into our country, many of them very dangerous people. No, it's only in your eyes that they have that, Martha. We're doing very well in the...
So Donald Trump is so upset. It's only in your eyes, Martha. Martha, you suck. You suck. She's not having success. I'm having success. Again, that was before the DNC ended. That was in the midst of the DNC. Okay, so there's more bad news for Trump. But as you can see, he's not handling it well. She, as a matter of fact, Martha McCallum, again, a conservative Fox News host, somebody who wants Trump to win. She's massaging Trump's feelings. Some success. She could have been much more honest, which would have required being much more blunt with Donald Trump. The polls are overwhelmingly, decisively in the vice president's favor with respect to national head-to-head swing state polls, no matter what, and with basically all the cohorts that Trump needs to win. And beyond that, this idea that, women love me, women want safety. Again, couple of things. Crime rate is down under the Biden-Harris administration. Crime has continued to drop. It dropped this year. It dropped last year. It dropped the year before. It has dropped from the crime spike under the Trump administration, number one. And then, of course, anytime Trump references the border, it's so dishonest given that he cynically killed the bipartisan border bill designed to address the issue of the southern border, because he would rather have America less safe for his own political advantage than to make it more safe and potentially give his opponents a political victory. So that was from the DNC. What has he said even more recently? Well, he says, according to Truth Social yesterday, polling against Kamala is looking very good, meaning he thinks his polls against the vice president are very good. We spent all of our time and a great deal of money fighting Crooked Joe. Then they unceremoniously dumped him and threw in an even worse person, Kamala, a radical left Marxist. She would destroy America just like she did in San Francisco and indeed California. Trump says that the polling is good. I don't know about that, Donald. Again, we talked about it in a previous video. 538, Real Clear Politics, which is conservative. The Silver Bulletin, which is Nate Silver, formerly of 538. The Cook Political Report. Folks, in aggregate, at this moment, Donald Trump is losing this election to Vice President Harris. He just is. That may change between now and the election. I'm very honest about that. I'm very tempered about that. I don't believe at all that we have this in the bag, which is why the vice president says to everybody at her rallies that we're the underdog, because institutionally we are, and we have to fight like we're the underdog. We have to keep the energy and the momentum up. But Donald Trump is objectively losing this election. And to see him spin out and in denial about it is just so delicious. And he's lashing out at Fox News when he does it. But let's say you want to get a different metric or different gauge from MAGA and you don't want Trump. How about Charlie Kirk? He is the founder of Turning Point USA. He's a prominent MAGA Republican conservative commentator. Well, you can see in his assessment of the DNC, he's not quite as in denial about Donald Trump, and he seems to tacitly agree that there's some genuine worry coming from MAGA Republicans about the state of the election.
After the DNC, there was a lot of worry. How is Trump going to get back this momentum? This DNC was a major production. I don't think it was that good, but it's fine. Part of it's were objectively good for Democrats.
So that's coming from Charlie Kirk again, who sees nothing of value in the Democratic Party, but who went to the Democratic National Convention. He had apparently another debate with Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks. He was there, and even he concedes that at least some parts of it were objectively good for the DNC. And again, consider that it's in his vested interest to downplay the success of the DNC. But even he is granting that there's some worry that there is a loss of momentum in the election for Trump, and that at least parts of the DNC were good. Well, now let's get to the good news. All right, we have the denial from Trump. We have the quasi-denial from prominent Trump supporters. Let's hear about what happened in the aftermath of the Democratic National Convention. It's good stuff.
They're big, they're historic, they're a record, and they're all something that the campaign is very pleased about. $500 million that they have raised over the last month, a big chunk, $82 million during the week of the DNC. The notable part about that $82 million is that a third of those are first-time donors, first-time contributors. This is something that the campaign has always latched onto because it indicates for them some level of enthusiasm among voters if you have these first-time contributions.
$82 million raised during the week of the Democratic National Convention. 82 million, 540 million since she announced that she was running for president, since President Biden dropped out. Staggering sum. According to Kamala HQ, $540 million raised, 1/3 this week from first-time donors, 200,000 volunteer shifts this past week, nurses and teachers among the most common donors. Folks, that is staggering. Staggering. She's blowing Trump out of the water, not just in terms of polling, but fundraising and energy. She's also trolling Donald Trump with it. CC at Real Donald Trump. DNC brings in higher ratings than RNC all 4 nights. And remember, as I've said before and I'll say again, Donald Trump is in his heart a reality TV show star. He's still the guy from The Apprentice. So all he cares about is viewership and attention and ratings. So to learn that the Democratic National Convention had more eyes on it than his Republican National Convention, and also consider that he had been shot in the head just days before the convention. He walked out on stage with a bandage. So not only is he Donald Trump, one of the most famous men alive, perhaps the most famous man alive. Not only is he the head of the Republican Party, not only is he a former president of the United States, he also had all the publicity associated with an assassination attempt, and the Democrats still beat him on the one thing that this man personally cares about above all others. They're also trolling him with respect to the quality and energy of his recent campaign stops and rallies. So they released this video, and it's called "It's Getting Real Old, Donald."
Because people get bored, but they don't get bored with me.
6.5 hours later.
Lawyers and your carpenters and your electricians and your drivers, and you're doing a lot of things. By the way, no
Beautiful F-35 Lightnings.
Lisa's blowing up. Russia's blowing up with Ukraine. There's wars starting all over the place. Looks like bad things could happen. And 89% increase in aggravated assault, and 56 department to go after their political opponent, but they're not doing well. I'm the only. Nobody lies like her. She's a liar. She makes up crap. She's the one gonna raise. She said Donald Trump because people.
That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. I mean, the Biden campaign with respect to social media was very good, and they knew how to troll Trump. The Harris campaign is even better, demonstrably better by far. They know how to get under Trump's skin. This is awesome, folks. The energy and the results are staggering. Again, the election's not today or tomorrow, so we can take nothing for granted. But the polling, the fundraising, the energy, the viewership, the ratings are all squarely on our side. Donald Trump is floundering. He is struggling. He himself won't admit it, but you can see it in his actions, his insecure rants on Truth Social, in text, his phone calls to Fox News, lashing out at Fox News hosts. There's nothing backing it up. Only you think that, Martha. It's pathetic. And it's indicative of a profoundly insecure man who knows that at the moment, deep down, that he is losing. And he knows nothing else other than to double down on his worst instincts. And we should only hope that that be the case, because it will very likely cost him the election if this trajectory continues. And in the meantime, as we celebrate the vice president's success, the Democratic Party's success, and we bask in the despair, the palpable despair of Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, let me know what you think in the comments.